Starting route to Escapeexpeditions.
Alright, moving on to our second game of our spooky episode, which is Save the Fleet at Escape You. Which doesn't sound super spooky just by the name, but please tell us what it's about.
Battle the storm and guide your fleet to shore. Hurricane San Zenon has formed and it's making its way across Florida and off the coast of St. Augustine. It's Floridian's worst nightmare. Your team of sailors is ordered to find some way to guide the shipping fleet to safety. Through driving rain and hammering waves, you manage to make landfall just steps from the famed St. Augustine lighthouse. Now hundreds of sailors depend on your quick thinking and puzzle-solving skills, of course, as you make your way to the top and operate the life-saving beacon. This room includes a 15-foot replica of the St. Augustine lighthouse and keeper house to add unparalleled realism to this history-based game. It says the scare level is only 4 out of 10.
So, the story that you read is kind of different from the story that I remember. I mean, we played this game, maybe a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
So, maybe it's changed since then, but what I remember from the game is that the lighthouse was haunted, and there was good ghosts and bad ghosts, and some of them were trying to help you throughout your story, and some of them were trying to confuse you, and your goal was to put the power back onto the lighthouse. But nevertheless, the objective is still the same. Get into the lighthouse, turn it on, save the fleet.
So as for story, it feels like you are a part of the story in this game as well.
Yeah, you begin outside of the house that's attached to the lighthouse, and you have to find your way in.
I remember it was a little spooky.
It was spooky. It was nighttime. I remember once you actually got into the little house, the clue system was integrated into different props that were actually inside the house, and the point was that the game master's voice was a ghost in the house, and they were like projecting their voices through different props in the game.
Yeah, which was really cool.
Yeah, and from what I remember, there was good ghost. Like I said, there was good ghost and there was bad ghost, and the bad ghost had like a very scary voice that was, I don't know, I'm very obviously not a voice actor. I can't do that kind of voice. But then the good voice was like a cute little girl voice, and she was trying to help you. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and it was this is immersion and not story as usual.
That's why I changed the order of them, because we usually talk about them hand in hand.
Yeah. So the ghost that was talking to your game master, I'm assuming they had like a ghostly voice changer or something, because they were talking to us directly, like referencing what we were saying or what we were wearing or like making jokes and stuff like that. So that was really cool. It was very immersion, story, hand in handness.
Which is clearly one of our favorite things.
Yeah. I remember when we played, they were like making fun of our friends' shoes and stuff, so that was cool.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. And another thing I liked was that you actually see the story all the way through. You have you start outside, it's storming, nighttime, you get in the house, you get into the lighthouse, which was super cool on the inside.
Yeah, really cool.
And
things take a turn with the ghosts.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of ghosts. I don't like ghosts, guys. I don't like the dark. But this game was fun, and it was kind of... We also told them that I was afraid of ghosts and afraid of the dark, so they kind of toned it down a little bit. I think it really depends on what game master you have and what level of scaredness you tell them that you like.
Yeah, they had some mini jump scares and stuff like that could have been a lot more scarier than they were.
If they triggered them when I was standing right next to them.
Yeah, instead they scared me, which was fine.
But the website currently, today, October 1st, 2019, says that it's 4 out of 10, which is pretty low. So they might have changed all of that since we played. Nevertheless, if it's scare light and there aren't any ghosts involved, it's still a solid game all around.
I mean, I take 4 out of 10 to be kind of how we played it. It wasn't very scary. There were ghosts, but they were like more about goofing off and like having fun and like making fun of you and stuff. They weren't like horror, scary, actually scary ghosts.
Right. And we just kind of perused Escape U's Facebook page, and it seemed like last year they did a whole event for Halloween time where they upped the scare factor on their games. I'm not sure if they're going to do that again this year, but if it's something they do again and you are into that kind of haunted house, scary horror immersion thing, it would be a really cool thing to check out.
Yeah, especially because their games are great without all of that on top of it. So I'm sure they would be super fun if they were extra spooky.
So, in terms of our third category, production value, I would say it was pretty solid. What do you think?
Yeah, it wasn't like anything exceptionally exceptional, but it was pretty good. It did have the replica lighthouse thing, which is really cool if you are a St. Augustine history buff, or a history buff in general, or just you like lighthouses or games.
Yeah, it is really cool. You walk into the lobby of Escape U and they have like the facade of the mini lighthouse, and it's all painted to look like the actual lighthouse. That was really interesting. In the game itself, like I said, you start outside in quotation marks, I'm doing air quotes, but you can see like the facade of the lighthouse house, and that looked really, really good and really convincing. And the inside of the lighthouse was also really cool because it had the whole contraption of what you needed to do to turn the lighthouse on, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I think the production value really shines at the end in the interior of the actual lighthouse. That part is really cool. I think because they built it the way that they did, it really feels like you are inside of like a cylindrical lighthouse thing and not like a square room that they are like, you are in a lighthouse now.
This is an office building that is supposed to be a lighthouse. There you go. Done.
And there were some really cool effects that happened that you do things in, like involving the power and the ghosts.
Yeah,
and all
I do remember
stuff,
that. That was fun.
Which is more of like a puzzly thing, but the production value really helped sell that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we can move on to puzzles.
For the most part, the puzzles did a really good job of being integrated with the story and with the theme. They weren't just puzzles thrown into a lighthouse. For the most part, they were relevant to what you were doing, especially at the end, the finale puzzle, where you are turning the power back on and dealing with the ghosts. Each step to that, I think, was really cool and had a really satisfying ending.
Yeah, I agree. And I also like when you were in the lighthouse house. I think we needed...
I like that it's called the lighthouse house.
It's probably not called the lighthouse house. What does it say?
The keeper house.
The keeper house. Well,
that's not as fun.
The keeper house. The lighthouse keeper house.
What were you saying about the house?
Yeah, another thing I really liked about the puzzles is that when you're in the second act of this game in the keeper house, you have to make use of all of the space and really remember the story of what's going on in this scenario to help you with the puzzles.
Yeah, and also remember where you are located. Like, you are in a keeper house attached to a lighthouse, right? You remember what you're trying to do and like where you are spatially and narratively.
I always think it's funny how intentionally vague we are, because really people listening are probably like, what in the world are you trying to say?
We don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't. So basically, I think what we're trying to say is we liked the puzzles. And there's a good mixture of tech puzzles, which I know a lot of people really like, and traditional lock and key puzzles. Puzzles that have nothing to do with locks and keys or boxes at all.
At all.
The mixture of all those things was really interesting and really fun.
Once again, I agree with you. How shocking.
I want to do a review about something where we disagree. We'll see if that ever happens.
All right, last is overall experience. We love Escape U. We love them so much that we drove 3 separate times to St. Augustine in the same week to play all of their games. I don't know why we didn't just drive once and play all 3 games. Maybe because that would have made too much sense.
I think the first time we went on a random Tuesday night and played their last game of the day, so we wouldn't have enough time to play all 3. And then the next time we went, we brought 2 friends with us.
Yeah.
And played the other 2.
No, we went 3 separate times.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We did go... That's exactly what you said.
I know.
Look, something I disagreed with you about, but it was just because I was wrong.
So, yeah, we love them. And I like all 3 of their games. As far as the spooky element goes, Save the Fleet
was formerly, when we played, a spooky game.
may still be. I think it still is. Why would
Tell
they change
us
it? It's essential to their game.
I don't know. But when we played, it was spooky. If it's no longer spooky, it's still good. We still recommend it.
Your destination is on your right. The end of this review.